Voice of the law, I just thought. Thank God. I looked at it, I said, it's Ellen.
Yes.
Hey, so everyone can rise for pledge of allegiance and start the meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everyone. So to start our meeting, actually we need to roll call. I apologize. Trustee Mesner, Trustee Lewis Rivera, Deputy Mayor Younger, Trustee Kentop is absent with notice, and I am present. So to start our meeting tonight, we have the cast of Footloose here. And I want to honor them. The village board wants to honor them. Every year, the Ellenville Drama Club comes together and puts on an incredible show for the community. It brings us all together in a way that, unfortunately, we don't get to do as often as we should. Every night is packed out. You see that 600-seat theater, just filled, and it's a great thing. And you guys do that for us. You bring us together. And we know the effort that you guys put in to make that something that the community looks forward to every single year. So it is our privilege to thank you guys for doing that as you do every single year. If I can have you all come up, we'd like to present you with a plaque. Come on up. Come on up. We're trying a little bit. We couldn't get everybody here. That's okay. You guys are repping. I appreciate it. Here, please, guys, hold it. My name, guys. Get us all in, or do we need to get down? Yeah. About the show. So we're not saying to get the most done, but it's because we need to get the most done.
Yeah.
You need to go. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Take care.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
I have two of them. Yeah.
So next, obviously tonight we have two public hearings. And then 6:45. Before we get to that though, two items on our agenda tonight, which are the hiring of 2 part-time police officers. We don't want to belabor them and their families for what could be a long meeting tonight. So if I may, I'd like to welcome our new two part-time officers, Jason Kinsey and Jacob Short. Chief and trustee give a recommendation for Jacob. The deputy mayor and I, along with the chief, interviewed Jacob just earlier. They look to be fine additions to our police force district, in a part-time position to help alleviate a lot of our scheduling issues. So with that, if I can have chief, please start.
So, Jacob, Short, come on up, so you can public, and Jason Kinsey already worked for us. As you know, Jason Kinsey's been working for me for a while as a dispatcher. He went to the academy. There he is right there. His family's here. Short's family's here. Jacob from Ackford. He had an opportunity to go to a couple different police agencies. He turned it down. He wanted to come to Ellenville. So thank you for that. The psychiatrist will see you after the meeting. You know, as far as that goes, but both of them are going to be fine additions. Jason has a Spanish background, so he's a local kid. He's from our community, so he's going to come here and police the community that he grew up in, the school that he graduated from. So it's always great to bring some local talent here as well. And as his family, very well respected. Both dads are correction officers. Am I correct? Yeah, both dads are correction officers. So they're right now doing the academy. They're gonna go through phase 2. Then they'll come and join us right after phase 2, but they'll be at the training rate. So we're gonna approve them at the training rate pursuant to the terms and conditions of the contract. So, gentlemen. Okay.
Yep, absolutely. So if I can.
Yeah, so I'll move both at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I motion to hire Jason Kinsey as part-time police officer, phase 2, at the training rate. It's noted. Also motion to hire Jacob Short as part-time phase 2 training rate. It's noted.
All in favor? Congratulations, guys. Welcome. Thank you. Okay,
Just one other thing for me, as most of you are aware, there was a homicide about 2 weeks ago over on Clinton Avenue. I can announce that the suspect has been captured. He was in Florida. He's been returned to Ulster County, where he is currently lodged in the Ulster County Jail. And he subsequently, I'm anticipating, should be indicted, if not already. And he will face justice that way. It's a terrible tragedy for such a young lady, and just unfortunate. But our partners in law enforcement that led the case worked tirelessly, and he will answer for his alleged crime. We also had a series of car larcenies in up in Laurel Terrace in the Westwood area, and also down in Green Acres area. We did capture 2 suspects in connection with that. We did get the property back, which is very unusual. They had the property on them when we caught them. So both suspects were caught, charged in connection with that, charged with various kind of larceny crimes. Due to the bail reform, they were one was released. The other one had several warrants from Albany, Schenectady, maybe down the went on the island and worked for it. So he is currently up in Greene County, where he is being prosecuted up there. We did have an assault involving a fight between 2 people that blossomed out with a knife. We did arrest 2 people in connection with that as well, because the knife was sliced the person's tires. So we were able to arrest 2 people. We are going to arrest 1 more in connection with that. So all of those alleged incidents have been figured out.
So I'd just like to say, based upon what the chief has just stated, Jason and Jacob, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Just, we have 2 minutes before the public hearing starts. Got that, project my voice very loud. If I can have a motion to open the public hearing for the proposed budget for fiscal year 2026-2027.
I'll make the motion.
Second, all in favor? Okay. Obviously, we didn't have a lot of time leading into the public hearing section. Take us through a general quick overview of this budget.
Of course, Mayor, thank you. Working with our treasurer and our department heads and through a couple of workshop meetings here with members of the board of trustees, we have prepared a budget for the village for next year's fiscal year. That is pretty much a bare bones budget. While it does call for approximately 7.3% tax increase, that is based on drivers such as an increase to our mandatory retirement costs, the New York State local retirement system, and police and fire retirement system. It includes increases to our general insurance costs, our health insurance costs, our utility costs, where we saw increases in those line items, as well as contractual obligations that we're setting forth. It does not provide for any increases significantly for contractual negotiations with our PBA or our public employees or our white collar employees and our non-union employees. We are obviously going to have public hearing this evening. Budget is due and required to be adopted by May 1st. So we are here to seek input from the community tonight and take your suggestions. There are no substantial cuts set forth in this budget this evening to any essential services of the village. But we are again listening to your input. It will most likely not be a back and forth discussion tonight from the board of trustees. But we will hear what you have to say, and there will be further discussion after tonight's meeting in which we will respond to any questions that you might have. So if there's any specific you'd like further information on, we can respond back to you. And probably will come back in some form of writing, but general simple information we can try to respond tonight. But it's something that's a longer answer, we will get back to you on. So, Mayor, I can turn it back over to the trustees and.
Sure. So obviously, we'd like for any person who would like to speak at the public hearing tonight to please come up to the podium to state your name for the record. And we will take your input. Anyone would like to speak on the proposed budget for tonight, please feel free to come up to the podium. We're here to seek your input.
Is it public hearing starting at 6:45 or?
We have two public hearings today, so one just on the budget itself. We are also required to have a second public hearing for the potential of a increase in the tax cap. That would be at 6:45. Allocate some time depending on how many people want to speak at the initial public hearing. Both of these public hearings had to occur by April 15th. So that is specific why we are here today. Scott?
I'll talk at the first hearing. I'm Scott Carlson. I live in Ellenville, over on Maple Avenue. I'm born and raised here, and I did 33 years in the Department of Corrections. Probably my greatest day in 33 years was when they called me and told me they were gonna send me back home as superintendent Ulster. And they had no idea they were sending me home. I sure did. And I made a decision to retire here. I bought what was my favorite house as a kid on Maple Avenue. My wife has the nicest flowers in the village. And we're raising my daughter, and I'm home. I couldn't be happier to be in Ellenville. I spoke last year when we were looking at the budget, and I'm going to speak again this year. So if you were here last year, to some of the board members, the mayor, I may be redundant. Let me also welcome the 2 new board members. Welcome. I was an administrator for over 25 years. I handled multi-million-dollar budgets. I never missed a budget. I couldn't miss it. If I missed the budget, I would have been fired. They would have terminated. I had no union protection. I had no civil service protection. And so for over 20 years, I lived within my budget. When the state budget was a mess, we were called upon to cut our budget by 2%. And I had friends in central office that said, you're not going to be able to do it. Lots of luck, Scott, but you're not going to be able to do it. But we did it. We worked hard. My employees, my executive team, line by line, we did it. After I retired, I ran for public office and became your town supervisor. In the years of my supervisor term, we stayed below the 2% tax cap every year. My friend John Gavaris is here. He probably was the most important board member in terms of the budget. He was a genius, and he helped keep us within the 2%. I spoke last year about line by line, and I understand what the manager said. You go line by line, but we went line by line too. We got to certain things like health insurance. We had to explore other options. Raises, step increases. We had to look at those. We certainly couldn't raise anybody's salary more than 2% if you have a 2% tax cap. Back to the state. I can't tell you as a state employee how many years we got raises of 0. At the end of my career, they took away our steps, which are civil service steps that help you get to the top of pay. They just took them away. The governor took them away. So I again wonder about being in a 5-story building. I wonder about owning a golf course. I wonder about sitting down seriously with the town to look at the street department and the highway department, to look at the water and sewer and the town water and sewer. Maybe discussions about the police force expanding. I just feel that there's more we can do. I'll close with this. Last year was 7.8, was over 7%. Some people believe it was 10% when it was all said and done.
10.2.
10.2. Now this year we're looking at over 7. What I said at the beginning about being happy to be here, I can tell you this is not sustainable. And if this continues, I know for me, I bet nobody in this room got a 7% raise this year. Guarantee it. Nobody. I sure didn't. And if this keeps up, I'm not going to be able to stay in Ellenville. Thank you.
Scott. Does anyone else who would like to share?
Good evening. My name is Mary Shealy. I'm a resident of the village. And I heard what Scott said, and was, I think we all agree, we're all on the same page. This is not sustainable, but it's April 15th. Hope you all filed your taxes. I didn't do mine yet, but that's exciting. But it's April 15th. You've got 15 days to adopt the budget. So let's be realistic. There's no magic wand. There's nothing you're going to do to change this year's budget, like it or not. But for the 3rd year in a row, I know you're tired of hearing me saying it. What are you doing to prevent this from happening again next year? Scott is right. We can't do it, but the time to look at it is not in February and March when you start the budget prep. The time to look at it is May 1st. pass this budget, move on, and then start looking at what are you gonna do next year, because we just cannot go on like this. I don't believe that employees who are not covered by a union don't get a raise. I think that is the most unfair thing to balance the budget on the back of a handful of people. They're here, they do their job, they deserve something, you know, their costs are going up the same as anyone else. But you have to take a serious look. If you can't raise the revenue, then you need to lower the expenses. There's no two ways about it, and cutting pencils and paper isn't gonna do it. So I hope I'm not here next year to say fourth year in a row, same question.
Sure.
Thank you.
I was on the village board last year, so I do understand that we have to raise taxes. My suggestion, like last year, is what can we do, knowing that we can't prevent this tax to help the constituents to pay their taxes? Like last time I was like, can we do a payment plan? Because unfortunately, people are gonna lose their house to foreclosure. They'll pay late, which is a percentage on top of the percentage they're paying, so they're gonna pay realistically more than 7% for their taxes. So looking into a payment plan where they're able to do stuff on, instead of waiting for your taxes to be due to enter one in advance. That's just some of my suggestions I think we should look at, especially because a lot of people, like she said, didn't get raises and they don't wanna lose their home to foreclosure because they didn't pay their taxes. So I get it, we have to raise taxes, there's nothing you guys could do. I was hoping for last year that would, when that happened, we would gradually get into it, not have to do it another year, which was kind of my understanding, but it's happening. So how can we help the people who are on fixed income to actually be able to pay, not lose their home, because it has to happen? And that's something that I want the board to explore with the public, or we could move forward to allow people to not lose their home.
Can we look into that?
We can't, it's New York State tax law, we're only allowed to do 2 payments.
50%.
50%, the only way we can go into a contract is if they fall behind, but since the county makes us whole in it now, we don't even do that anymore.
Right, that agreement I stated with the county, that would be 3 years behind before we would get to that point.
And is interest required on the second payment? Yes, anything after that first few days, there is interest.
And there's
By
no
law.
local
Yes.
law or way
New
that
York
we
State
can
tax law.
figure out with New York State, because it's a village. Have we ever looked into it or suggested or even reached out? I know sometimes you can't do stuff, but when you
It'd be
reach
an
out,
act of the legislature to change the tax law
Yeah.
statewide.
I mean, have we wrote and saying that this is becoming an issue for the village? Like, I think it's something that we should try, not saying that'll change overnight, but this is, we're gonna lose our home, honestly. So. And then even if you're not a homeowner, it gets paid to people who are paying rent. People are not gonna be able to rent, right now rent is high, and then now it's gonna fall on the renters. And then we're gonna have a village with no people really living, being able to live here, and that's sad, especially the kind of community that we can have when we do have.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to use this public hearing?
I'm Denise Freeman. I don't live in the village, but I own property in the village. And I'm not the best at encapsulating my thoughts sometimes, but just to continue on what Scott touched on about the assets of the village and how we're best utilizing or maximizing the potential revenue from those assets. I find this budget to be impossible to follow in respect to what is the income of this building versus what it costs the village to own and maintain the building. The same with the golf course and the same with the very underutilized hunt building. I understand there's issues there with the HVAC not existing. But I think that the taxpayers are owed more clarity on those 3 items. What does it cost? What is the revenue it's bringing in? And is there a green or what are the numbers? I think we're owed that. At the very least, if we're gonna continue to have the conversation. I think that there's a lot that could be done with some new energy and some new outlook with those three assets of the village to maximize some revenue there. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak?
Good evening, my name is Karen Osterhout. I am not a resident of the village, but I pay taxes here. Just simply to piggyback on what we've heard tonight. Your expenses are higher than your revenues. Gotta raise the revenues. So I would suggest some way to try to get new blood in the village, new businesses. Business is a great way to bring in revenues. You ride down Main Street, you'll see empty storefronts. We really need to do something to get people here, whether it be you hire some kind of person to do that, to try to get the information out there. I have rentals in the village, I have Airbnb in the village, I have business in the village. And I can tell you that some of the things that we see from the newspaper articles that go out talking about the crime and what happened with this one getting stabbed and the integral details that go into it really scare people for coming here. We have to do that. We have to stop doing that. We have to paint a different face, which I know we have. Those of us that live here know that it's part of what goes on, but not the biggest part of what goes on. We have some very good things happening here, and we need to get that out and really sell ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
How are you?
I'm Brianna and I'm the owner of Sold Sold. I'm new to this tax conversation, but I think before we get into numbers and budgets, I would like to acknowledge what our community is holding right now. A woman just lost her life down the street. A family has been shattered, children are left without their mother, and whether we knew her personally or not, this is a community issue. There's grief here, there's fear here, there's quiet heaviness that people are walking with tonight, and that matters. Because we cannot separate this moment from the conversations we're about to have. We're not just a village reviewing a budget, we are a community in pain, being asked to stretch even further. I want to say clearly that I understand the position, the deficits, the rising costs, the pressures to maintain essential services. I understand that exceeding the 2% tax cap is not proposed lightly. These are not easy decisions. But really, neither is what the people are living through right now. Last year, there was already about a 7% increase. What I'm hearing is higher. And now we're here again asking more from a community that is already stretched financially, emotionally, and mentally. And this is where I want to gently say, but firmly, and bring us back to something deeper. So what does it truly mean to be in a supportive community? Because support is not just infrastructure, it's not just balancing a budget, it's not just keeping systems running. Support is people feeling safe. Support is people having somewhere to go when they are overwhelmed. Support is connection, regulation, and care, especially in moments like this. I'm the founder of Soul Sanctuary, and what I witness every day is how much people are holding beneath the surface. The stress, the trauma, the disconnection. And when something like this happens in our town, it doesn't just stay with one family, it ripples out to everyone. So tonight, as we are raising and talking about taxes to sustain essential services, I ask us to pause and ask, are we also sustaining the people those services are meant to serve? Because when emotional and mental well-being are not supported, the cost goes even deeper. It shows up elsewhere, in crisis and breakdown, in a community that feels disconnected and unsafe. This is not about opposing what's being proposed, this is about expanding it. If we're asking more from this community, then this community deserves to be held, not just managed. There is an opportunity here, not to just address the financial deficit, but to strengthen the foundation of this village in a real, human way. To recognize that human spaces matter, that connection matters, and that people need more than services, they need support. Tonight, I'm asking, as these decisions are made, we hold both truths at the same time. That village needs funding, and that people are in need of care, love, and safety. Because we're not just taxpayers, we're human beings navigating this world, our grief, our fear, and the uncertainty of life together. And how do we move through these moments defines us as a community. So thank you so much for letting me speak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Members of the community, I have not prepared a speech.
Okay.
But I'm here to tell you that I am one of those concerned citizens.
I'm sorry, can I just have your name? I'm sorry.
Beth Quinary. Okay. 3 years ago, Brianna was my neighbor. And I'm here to tell you that 3 years ago, I was assaulted. I wrote a letter, a very strongly worded letter of concern to the Shawangunk paper. Trying to address the bullying that goes on in our neighborhood, to address the violence, to address the myriad number of problems, and the fact that I personally feel that I am not listened to, I am ignored. All right, I just want to let you guys know that our concerns are not addressed, they're whitewashed. I actually went up to our police chief, and do you know what his answer to me was? When I got assaulted, he would not let me press charges. I was told I wasn't hurt enough. Do you know how traumatizing that is to me and to anybody else in this community? I cannot say it strong enough. And like I said, I wrote a very strongly worded letter to the Shawangunk Journal. You guys can look it up. I feel that the problems are not getting better, they're only getting worse. All right, what is it gonna take for us to be listened to? And how many other people are gonna die or get seriously injured and then be told, guess what, our concerns are not important. Please listen to what I am telling you. And I'm not just talking out of the side of my mouth. I want to let you guys know that I grew up in Rockland County. All right, I was an EMT for 15 years. I have seen my share of trauma. I know what it looks like. I was an EMTD from 1991 to 1997 when I retired. I retired with honors. I am a peer support advocate. I am currently in class for that. I am also an art therapist in training. And I just graduated as a life insurance agent. If you want to bring people to this community, you have to check the people in the community. We have to feel safe. And we need to be listened to. Please listen. Before there's another death that does not need to be here. And by the way, I lived around the corner from that woman that passed away. We walk around with our doors locked. How is that supposed to feel? We can't let our children walk around safely. We can't walk into a McDonald's because, yes, I appreciate that you hired more police department, but we can't even walk into a restaurant without having some sort of incident. Like I said, please hear me.
My name is Francis Roller. I got a quick question. Why on this can't you break down your overtime line on what you're paying people? Because any given night, you could see the street department out there with your water department doing digs. The other night, it was like 11 o'clock at night. You know, why can't you do some sort of shared services, maybe with the town? You know, get in touch with Joe. Say, hey, listen, we need a hand. You know, we need a hand on a water digger, we need a hand here, we need a hand there. I'm sure that they're not gonna have a problem if you could say, hey, we got a water dig on Wednesday and it's Monday, You get in contact with them and say, listen, instead of eating, from 2:30 when they get off until 11 o'clock at night. You're not digging where maybe it's 2:30 to 6. That's a little bit different than 11 o'clock at night. One, you're getting a lot of overtime. Two, you're killing your manpower. You're literally killing them guys, they gotta get back up at 5 o'clock to be to work by 6. It's not fair to them, and it's not fair to the taxpayers to keep taking on a big burden of overtime like that. It's really not. Thank you.
For anyone else to speak for this public hearing specifically? If I can have a motion to close the first public hearing of tonight, the proposed budget for fiscal year 26-27.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then just a reminder, we do have another public hearing in approximately 5 minutes at 6:45 regarding the proposed opening law to 2.6, which would potentially allow us to exceed the tax cap. So with that, we'll move through a couple of agenda items quickly. I have the approval of minutes I can have a broad stroke approval for the workshop meeting minutes of March 9th, 2026.
Motion.
Any discussion? Any corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the March 9th, 2026 meeting?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the March 23rd, 2026 meeting?
Second.
All in favor? Motion to approve the minutes from the special meeting of March 30th, 2026.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? If I can have a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting on April 6th, 2026.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Section. Rita, we do have you on the agenda for tonight. I don't know if you were looking to speak. Do you think what you might convey to us might be able to occur within 4 minutes, because we have to start the special meeting exactly, or the public hearing at 6:45. If not, we can wait until after the public hearing and have you come up. We have you on the agenda for tonight.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. It's 6:41.
Or you can wait until the end, after the.
I can speak in 4 minutes, I don't have a problem. I don't know much to say since I brought it, this is the third time up. So basically, my name is Rita Vanderpoor. I represent an organization, an activist organization that's nonpartisan. It's called Indivisible Ulster, which is part of Indivisible National. Indivisible National is asking town boards across the country to sign on to an opposition to President Trump's big, beautiful bill. The big, beautiful bill has 1,000 pages in it. Nobody really knows what's in it. And what's happening is, as a result, our towns, our state, our counties are suffering because New York State is one of the states that are being targeted by the federal government, and our funding is being cut or pulled away from us. It's in courts, which he can do forever because he's spending our money with his lawyers. And all we're saying is sign on as a board that was elected by the people who are out there on the streets petitioning and protesting against what's happening in this country. We are chaotic, we are unlawful, our society has no bounds, nothing to keep us safe in any way. All you have to do is accept the opposition to the proposal. You can make minor changes as you see fit and put yourself on record. Ulster County Legislature has already signed on, as New Paltz and has Highland as well. And all I'm asking you again for the third time, I've given you all the information needed. Please take that into consideration, because the people out on the streets protesting are the people that voted for you people. And we need support by government elected officials, because those are the names that really make a difference when we start looking at it. on an election level. Thank you very much.
Wait, I'm
Yes.
sorry, can you tell me the counties and the towns that?
I can't give you all of them, but I could email it to you, absolutely. I know Ulster County Legislature did vote for it, and I know New Paltz, those are the two, and I believe Thailand, but I can get you the exact list,
Please do.
absolutely, thank you.
Exactly 1 minute before the start, Clinton Avenue Bridge Watch, as you saw in your packets. Since that update in the packet, there's been a further update. Potential area that is going to be turned over as a part of the process was staked out today by the engineering company. The owner seems so far amendable, and it's like we're gonna be able to get that issue of the last holdout, which will hopefully finalize the right-of-way acquisition issues we've been dealing with over the last number of months. Cross our fingers, hopefully there's nothing else that's gonna stop that individual from signing the paper, so hopefully we'll have a good update at the next meeting. Okay. So with that, if I can have a motion to open the public hearing on proposed local law number 2 of 2026. That would authorize to consider an adopted budget over the property tax cap of 2%.
Motion.
All in favor?
I
Okay. Just to review what the local law does, a village board specifically has to adopt a local law if they are to consider overriding the 2% tax cap. We must pass that local law. If we were not to pass the local law, then we would not be legally able to exceed the tax cap. Obviously, that is always a consideration that we cut a major service or reconstruct a major service. There's certainly things to discuss, and that's why we want to hear your opinion. And if you'd like to come up and speak to it tonight, please feel free. Scott?
Here is it, I get to speak twice. I just want to add and follow up with something Mary Shealy said. And I spoke about this last year, I've spoke to the mayor about it. When I was on the town board, every meeting, we would have a budget workshop. And we would go over the line by line with our controller, we knew how much money we had. Now, the sins of the past are the sins of the past, we know that didn't happen in Ellenville for a few years prior to you being your manager. And we didn't even do our financials. We didn't even submit mandatory financials to the state. I don't know how you get away with that. We brought in an accounting firm to do our financials and submitted them on time. But hopefully you've caught up, but like Mary said, you've already heard from a lot of people, this is not sustainable. It's gonna drive people out of Ellenville. It's gonna drive businesses out of Ellenville. It's gonna drive renters out of Ellenville. And I just don't know how any business, any tenant, any homeowner like me is gonna be able to live with that. I'm on a fixed income. Thank God I'm blessed with a pension. A lot of people don't have a pension. And I'm on Social Security, but I can tell you what, my COLA is like nickels and dimes. Social Security goes up, so does Medicare, and it wipes out our Social Security rates. So I implore you that month to month, however often you meet to look at the numbers, please look at the numbers month after month after month so that we don't find ourselves in the same place again next year. It's just not sustainable. We can't do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. If anyone else would like to speak for the public hearing on local law 2? With that, I'll motion to close the public hearing on local law number 2. Favors? Aye. With that, if I can have a motion to adopt local law number 2 of 2026.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
All in favor?
Roll call. Roll call. Deputy Mayor Younger,
Yes.
Yes. So what I'll do is with it closed, speak to it a little bit. Last year, obviously, this is a significant tax increase. Last year was the first year completed of a budget that had relevant data that we could use to start to forecast forward. We spoke about that this year would be, in effect, the final year. This would be the year where we would have 2 years of data that would be more confident in to assess potentially major changes. The data and the macro situation that is occurring beyond just our municipal bounds, which has crippled many municipalities now, is not going to alleviate. It's been going on now for a number of years. Ellenville, it's been going on for a longer period of time. We have the smallest budget of a municipality our size with the services that we have. And what that says to me is that there is no wand to fix this. There are things we need to do and that we have been talking about with the town over the last number of months to consider how do we compact some of our services, if you will, and work together to hope that maybe that helps the village. I'm going to be objective. I've tried to forecast each year this time of the year to see what I think likely is going to happen next week. I think without a major structural change, a significant structural change, we will be here again for the next 5 to 7 years. That is based on our current expenses as they've been for the last 2 years, as they projected out what is likely to be the significant cost increases over the next year. Health insurance went up 14.5% for our private plan, which was in line or slightly less than surrounding municipalities. NISHIP, our public plan, went up 8.5% this year. That represented $90,000, which was approximately 80% of our 2% tax cap. Retirement pushed us right over the tax cap. Those two items will continue to exist for the next number of budgets forward. There are structural changes that we could make that I don't think are going to change those. It would have to be something absolutely major. It would be a complete modification of service, and that's something we take very seriously. I think it does behoove us to consider some more significant actions, and we are looking into conducting a study on the dissolution. We are looking at a study with the town to look at shared services significantly. An application was put in with the town. They were the lead, we are the joint. I don't think there's an easy way out of this, and that's effectively what most municipalities in our area are dealing with. Maybrook is proposing a 17.5% tax rate increase. That's the Village of Maybrook Saugerties, a tax levy increase of 30.5% this year. That was after 2024, where they did 32%. Monticello did 9.5 last year. Montgomery was 11.5. They will be 5.1 this year. Kingston was 8 last year, 9.5 this year. Town of Shawangunk, 11.5 last year, 17.9% this year. And the town of Rochester, right up the road, is 26.25 this year. There are huge issues going on, ones that we will not be able to escape easily. The budget that we may consider adopting does not fix our long-term structural issues. It is a Band-Aid budget, now with data for us to consider the future of Ellenville. The municipality, we take that very seriously. We've had some serious conversations already. It will behoove us to continue those conversations immediately within the next month. This budget is unfortunate. Last budget was unfortunate, and the budgets before have been unfortunate. I can promise you, and I hope you will come with an open mind in these conversations that we have over the next number of months, to listen to the data, to be objective, that the board will not be making emotional decisions, that we will be data driven to make these decisions, because the decisions we will be making will transform what we and our relationship to the municipal government of Ellenville will be in the future. I appreciate everybody's patience as we work through these things. I wish we had a better result for you right now. There are still items that we need to work on over the next 2 weeks before we consider adopting the budget. And we expect to adopt either the Monday at our normal meeting on the 27th, or potentially that Wednesday, I think it's on the 29th. If we need to make any further modifications, I would encourage you to come. We will be posting for another workshop meeting next week. We will put that up on Facebook and our website like we normally do. Please feel free to attend, listen in as we work through those items. So thank you, everybody. But if trustees have any comments, please feel free and move on to the next.
I just want to say that everyone who spoke tonight, we hear you. I think these are a lot of discussions we have already been having. And to Mary Shealy's point, we are doing our best to start now for next year's budget. And I just do want to call out the village asset comment and how we want to be here for the people. And we're going to look at what areas, what the assets we hold that are not for the people.
Yeah, sentiments as trustee Messner spoke, we do hear you, a lot of times we, during these public hearings, we definitely want to hear, what the residents have to say, what your thoughts are, what you're thinking, and we certainly do take them into consideration, but as the mayor, he summed it all up, over the years, there's always increased mandates, that we have no control over. As Karen said, our expenses sometimes higher than our revenue. So, certainly working through that and do, again, we do hear you. We take into consideration your thoughts and opinions. And as the mayor said, over the next several weeks, we certainly be, looking at the budget closely.
Before we move on, are there any other petitioners here tonight to speak to the board in general about any topic? Any topic that's not on the agenda? We're glad to hear from you tonight.
John Gritters, Chairman for the July Committee. Two things. One, just want to thank the board for allowing an application to go in for money from Ulster County. For those who don't know, we were awarded for the village application $2,500 towards the 4th of July celebrations this year. So thank you to the board. And
John, if I may, but just to be clear, John wrote the application. John did the work. The 4th of July committee does the work. Thank you guys for all that work.
You're welcome. Evan sent the email, so that gives credit to that. And I just want to follow up on the flag. Met with the village manager last Monday. We measured. We should be able to fit a 50 by 30 flag up on the roof. Just want to get formal approval from the board to go ahead and do that, so we can order it.
Any approved? Okay,
I'll make a motion to allow for the 50 by 30 foot flag on the side of the building.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Is there anyone else, Denise?
Just a quick circling back to an ask I had back in November about cleaning up the gazebo. And then winter hit us fast and furious quite early in November and December. So I'm hoping to go power wash the gazebo in the next week or two. If everything lines up. The museum, I spoke to Andrew and he will give us access to water to hook up the power washer. We'll just evaluate, get off some of the loose rust, see what we're dealing with, and then get the supplies. And put out a call for anybody who wants to help. We'll hopefully get it done maybe in 2 sessions. So that's the plan.
Any comments, any objections? I would imagine not.
Thank you, and I know this is volunteering, but if you can have those sessions be close to one another, so it doesn't look worse than it already does.
Yes. You got it, and thank you guys
Thank you so much.
Is there anyone else here to see the board tonight for any matter that might not be on the agenda? Okay. So we move on.
Discussion? The discussion.
Oh, sorry, I mean, there's no discussion items for tonight. Any items for tonight that to speak to?
Nothing specific tonight, Mayor. We've been kind of inundated with the budget right now, so the main focus.
Okay. The department's not here, chief spoke. Okay, so with that, we'll go to resolutions. I don't see, Mike. Anything for tonight for sewer? I do see in the back. Yes. Oh, I apologize. You're right. I apologize. I see the discussion item.
Yeah.
I apologize.
That's okay.
Mike, 1 second. I apologize. So we received a letter of request support
Mark Ryder.
from Mark Ryder and Okra. Obviously, they navigated and responded to community outcry that we don't want a landfill in Warsaw, and we certainly don't. They, I think, took some of that feedback, and especially, what do when you don't have a landfill? You reduce the waste in the process. And what they are proposing is to apply for a grant, a pilot program, which would include 2 other villages to set up composting collection sites. In the very loose guise of how it would work, it would be collection points throughout the village, which would then potentially go up to the town of Worsing's landfill, which would then be transferred up to, I believe, Oprah's site at the other end of the county. I, wanted to be sure from Mr. Ryder that this letter of support is not a letter of commitment. Obviously, there's a lot of loose details, but he asked if we would just simply be open to consideration of it. And if we would lend a letter of support, and then depending on the outcome of the grant application, they could begin to flesh out what that program might look like, and then we may consider if we want to participate or not. With that, we'll be able to read, everybody see the letter or the email from Mark specifically. If that's okay, I can do a general motion to submit a letter of support on behalf of the village of Ellenville, in support of that grant opportunity.
We get a host community benefit fee for this, like the town of Ulster does.
To be determined. Mark.
Conditioned upon that.
Yeah, we could, $1 million a year.
We used to get $1 a ton in the town of Ulster, so.
It'd be a little tight for us for discount post. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Mike, anything for sewer tonight?
No, really.
Okay, thank you. I have resolutions for planning, if we'll go through them. Motion to the motion for the board to approve a modification to the general fund budget to properly account for debt service obligations. This adjustment is necessary to ensure that the debt service expenditures are accurately reflected and the appropriate budget lines. Tracy, this was a house cleaning item, especially with the recommendation of OSC. Okay. Got it. Okay. And this is specifically related to the vehicles, the previous installment loans that the village has had. Okay. So we would be transferring $28,669.68 from line AA 3120.2 equipment line and reallocate it to $26,266.89 to line AA 87856 installment purchase principal, and then allocate $2,402.79 to line AA 9785.7 to the installment purchase interest line upon the recommendation of the village treasurer.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? If I can have a motion to authorize payment to Dan Pollen in the amount of $164.58 for mileage from March 12th, 2026 to March 30th of 2026.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion authorizing the use, just to speak on it before we get going, Michelle, they have submitted the same request, it's the
Yeah.
same folks, to conduct the farmer's market this week.
Submitted the certificate of insurance.
Already covers the dates that we covered, okay. The farmer's market will be coming back this year, again, same location as last year. Some of the key folks behind it, some different faces, but I'll let them speak to it, but it has some of the information, so. Motion authorizing the use of 11 Market Street, the village lot, for the Ellenville Farmers Market on Fridays. On Fridays from June 5th, 2026 through October 30th of 2026. With a usage time from between 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. and a certificate of insurance has been provided. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion authorizing the purchase of fungicide and I have no idea.
Yeah.
Civitas, thank you. From Site One in the amount of $2,078.87 upon the recommendation of the golf course superintendent.
I'll make the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion authorizing the purchase of fertilizer from Advanced Earth Solutions in the amount of $5,255.40 upon the recommendation of the golf course superintendent.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? A motion authorizing, can I have a motion authorizing the purchase of various items from Site One in the amount of $1,561 upon the recommendation of the golf course superintendent?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
A motion authorizing the purchase of fungicide and herbicide from Advanced Turf Solutions in the amount of $2,249.19 upon the recommendation of the golf course superintendent.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
I have a question.
Sure.
Thank you. I'm going to assume that all of the funds for this is coming out of the golf courses.
Correct. They have their own separate bank account and it will be extracted from that account. You're welcome. Manager, it's okay. We just, I can see the 3 motions next about the snow removal. I know you had a meeting to that.
Dan and I reviewed a series of snow removal items that are gonna request for relief on, and we went through them and reviewed the invoices, and these are the recommendations on those items.
Okay, for these 3 properties.
Correct.
On the snow removal fines and stuff. If the one was a management company, why are we relieving them of the debt when they're managed to hire the people to maintain it?
So let me pull up the specific item, I can address it on. Reflect my recollection.
Believe
It
one of
doesn't
them.
make any sense, I can say the homeowner, but a managing company is fined for not doing their job. Why are we relieving them of the debt?
Give me 1 second, let me pull up the specifics, because some of them had gotten cleared and then the plow came through again and put the snow back.
It did it to my property too, but I didn't get fined, I went out there and cleaned it,
And then one of the circumstances, there's individual reasons on each one, so just let me pull them back up and take a look. Once.
Like, to be clear, I think you're talking about 125 Center, maybe. Can't remember the specific address for that one
I'm
gentleman.
not being specific and saying which ones, I mean, I understand as a homeowner and as a property manager. That if I got a fine, I'm supposed to be liable for. Just because I'm the managing company and maintain my own property. These companies are hired to manage these places. They have the snow removal, lawn removal done. And they have time to do it. We shouldn't be relieving them of the fine because they didn't do their job.
So in the one case on Canal, that's a state road that we clear.
Correct.
So they should not have been fined on Canal, so that was why that was removed.
Right.
So that was one of them.
Right,
So I'm explaining that.
because that's the sidewalk that goes to nowhere, I understand.
Correct, so we fined them for that, which we should not have fined them for because we actually cleared that. So that's why one of the fines was removed. The other one, so we're clear. You go back to it. Was another canal. And then the other item was. They did clear, but they cleared what appeared to be about 24 inches instead of 36. So we made a compromise on it and we reduced the fine. That was the reason.
Well, it doesn't say anything about reducing the fine, it's, administrative fees. you know.
Yeah, we removed the administrative fee, but they still are paying a portion of the fine.
All right, thank you.
Every time you make a compromise, you're losing income. We're talking about structural change here. Every single penny counts.
Well,
Every time.
every single penny does count, but there also has to be an understanding that there has to be fairness and equity. And in some circumstances, you have to be reasonable with folks. And we have to be reasonable with our village residents. In some cases, these are residents we're talking about, not management companies.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is.
And if a
I was
resident,
here, you were here,
Yeah.
I was representing the management company and he's managing.
these are not all management companies.
The one specifically, that's why I brought it up.
Correct, but I'm addressing all the items for you.
I litigate one more thing straight.
Hmm?
The plow comes through. We shovel.
Yep.
Plow comes through again, we shovel. We
Agreed,
shovel, then the plow comes through, we shovel.
Yeah.
They can do the same thing.
agreed. We had a circumstance though in one of these where we removed an administrative fee because the woman had back surgery. And the
We're
plow
not,
came
we're not
through.
disagreeing with that, we're, my thing was with the management company, why are we paying their fees?
We're not,
The management company had 3 properties, 2 of which we are charging them the same as we did before. The other one was owned by a previous landlord during that time, so we weren't ticketing the appropriate people.
right, and then another situation, we had to remove it because it was on a street that we maintain. Because it's the state highway road and we maintain it, we should not have. The other was a woman had back surgery and the plow came and dumped on the corner and we made a reasonable accommodation there and said, we understand your circumstance. So we have to have a balance of equity and that's what we tried to do.
Like I said, I wasn't disagreeing with that, I was disagreeing with the ones from the management company.
Okay, so I think there were 2 discussions going on there, I apologize. So we're clear, I got you.
Thank you.
Got it.
Okay, so we have 3 different motions related to the snow removal, modifications, start with motion 8. Or resolution 8, motion to void the snow removal in the amount of $107.05 and street by the recommendation of the village manager or some officer.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. A motion to take no action on the snow removal invoice for 125 Center Street, 9 Vance Center Street, 8 Canal Street upon the recommendation of the village manager and code enforcement officers. In favor? No motion, no action taken to modify. Motion, if I can have a motion to remove the administrative fee from the snow removal invoice for 1012 Canal Street and 48 Market Street on the recommendation of the village manager and the code enforcement officer. Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Motion authorizing payment in the amount of $10,312.80 to Schmidt's Wholesale for the purchase of 2 fire hydrants and miscellaneous pumps. Motion.
Yeah.
All in favor?
So are those for replacement hydrants or those new hydrants that you're gonna put in?
They are, I believe I can speak to one. One is going where a hydrant was ripped out some time ago and going in. I can't speak clearly to the second one yet, but you know, we've got a number of hydrants that used to exist that don't exist anymore and they need to get fixed.
There's a big issue there.
Yep, thank you. With that, it's us through our resolutions for tonight. Board report, trustee Mesner.
I just want to make a note that we should talk to the county about the sales tax that we've. Whether or not it's proportionate to the businesses.
So I'll speak to that. So Association of Towns has been advocating through the city of Kingston ahead of the agreement that went into effect for the next 5 years. Unfortunately, it's a cultivated process in which we basically are subservient to Kingston, potentially giving us the scraps off the table. When we talk about some of our big, and that's not to knock the city of Kingston, because Mayor Noble does a great job having work the rest of the municipalities that are not the county of Ulster. When we're talking about some of these other municipal budgets, using the village of Montgomery as an example, they are a village of 3,800 people, slightly smaller than us in that sense. They receive $700,000 in sales tax revenue. Orange County obviously has a more significant retail presence. They have a larger population. They are going to generate more sales tax, but their sharing agreement is more favorable to the municipalities that exist in it. The villages, the towns, the cities in it get a much more significant portion compared to Ulster County. Unfortunately, the agreement that went into place this year is arguably slightly less favorable than the previous agreement. There are certain caveats that may come into play. To give you the exact number that we received, it's approximately $40,000 from Ulster County. So again, as we're talking about budgeting and we compare it to some other municipalities, that's a huge task in front. Unfortunately, that's going to be what it's going to be, as it was 5 years ago, as it was before, which was better than if I recall, than 25 years ago, which was effectively almost nothing.
So about 20 years ago, there was this guy up in the town of Ulster that was the supervisor when he was 21 years old, and he threatened the city of Kingston, then Mayor James Tile, good guy, that he was going to petition the state of New York to make the town of Ulster a city, so they could preempt the city of Kingston and have their own sales tax. Because back at that time, the Hudson Valley Mall was actually one of the economic engines of Ulster County. And the lion's share of sales tax for the county of Ulster was actually generated in the town of Ulster. And the reason why the mayor of the city of Kingston is the negotiator of sales tax is because in counties, the city is who is the preemptive right in determining sales tax. The city of Kingston can say to the county, you cannot collect a sales tax. The city has the right to collect a sales tax, and they can preempt the county. The problem with that is that historically in Ulster County, the city of Kingston, way back in the day, probably even before Ray was a tyke, the sales tax was generated in the city of Kingston before the town of Ulster came into prominence. And the malls were not existent, and the stores actually were in uptown Kingston when the Pike Plan was originally developed. So the sales tax came from the city of Kingston. When the malls got built and things moved out to the town of Ulster, that became the economic hub of Ulster County. It actually was the motto and slogan of the town. And the city decided to enter into a sales tax agreement with the county, and at that time, I think, and John might know this, the percentage then was 2% shared amongst all the towns, and the city, I think, got 9 back then. And then it was modified every 10 years and became less favorable or more favorable. And one point, I think it even was talked about going up to 4, but that really never happened to be shared amongst the towns. So yes, that's why the mayor is the driver, and then it obviously goes to the legislature, and then supervisors and mayors try to push for more. But unfortunately, we have always struggled in towns and villages to get a bigger piece of that pie. And it's a big fight, and we really don't ever get more. So the long and the short of it is it's a tough battle, but I don't think we're ever going to win it. As nice as the mayor can be, until we can get a town supervisor from another town to move to Kingston and run for mayor, and then realize what our problems are and these other outlying hinterlands, as John Parody used to call them, we'll never see more. But yeah, that's our struggle to get that number increased. Cause he's really the driver of that shift.
And in the city of Kingston, a significant portion of their operating budget
Is sales tax.
is sales tax. They serve approximately 5 times our population, about 25,000 people.
And they get like $14 million a year.
Their budget is 11 times, almost probably now 12 or 13 times larger than ours. I met the new mayor of the city of Hudson. They serve, I say city, there are many villages in New York State that are much larger than Hudson. They have 600 people. He conveyed that his budget is approximately $19 million. And again, a significant portion, not nearly to the same extent as the city of Kingston, but they receive about $2.5 million worth of sales tax every year.
Yeah.
They have a police department of 26 full-time officers. You know, and again, those are the macro issues that we have to assess and say, if not now, then when? And if we're not willing to make meaningful, drastic changes, as I conveyed earlier, we are likely looking at exceeding the tax cap almost indefinitely for a long period of time, especially given the inflationary challenges that are occurring outside. So it's a good point, and unfortunately, like many things, from exterior funding sources, we are basically changing the ball and hopeful that someone does something about it at the state level or unfortunately the county level.
Thank you.
Trustee Lewis. Yep.
So you mentioned drastic changes more than once this evening. Sure. Can you give us an idea of what you're thinking about?
I don't want to speak on it yet. We said we were going to look at significant consolidation of services potentially with the town, potentially dissolution study. So we think depending on what any one of those studies may show, those potentially could lead to drastic changes in the operation of the village. We may have to consider some other items in the interim. We will look at them and weigh whether that's the right move right now or not. I would encourage you to come to the next couple of meetings as we may discuss them. There's no real easy decision. It's effectively which major service are we going to strip down and completely modify the nature of that service.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Right?
Yeah, I'd like to revisit, months ago, we spoke about exempt properties in the village that are no longer being used for that purpose. So, if we could, get the list of those properties, that the board review them and let's discuss them. I know it's been talked about for a while, but we really haven't moved on it to see what that looks like. So, maybe at the next meeting, at least we can start with a list of those tax exempt.
We can ask the assessor to give us a list of them.
So what I
We
mean,
have the list.
yeah, so I was gonna say, obviously, we have new trustees. We have the previous list that was the same. We had reached out to the assessor's office a number of months ago. There was some consideration for approximately one property. In their view at the time, the assessor viewed I believe it was approximately 7 properties, maybe slightly less than that, that would be incredibly unlikely given all it takes is a single day of said use under the certain exemption that they would be behooved not to grant a continued exemption. That being said, I think there's a new conversation to have because the town also has an assessor.
Well, and
Get their opinion.
the city of Kingston went through this with the LBTGQ Center where the assessor originally took that position, but then said, but if portions of space are used for non-profit or for-profit enterprises, then it should be considered, or portions of that space should be considered for profit, and therefore taxes should be proportionately paid on that space. So I mean, there has to be a balance and an equity to it. So I think that conversation should be had. I mean, I guess the other conversation that the town needs to consider and some of the council members need to ask the assessor is, what's kind of going on with the reval and when that might look to happen. I think we're at a 60% valuation, and you know, where are the properties in terms of full valuation and looking at, you know, where they stand.
Yeah, and obviously that's, as we're seeing in the town of Rochester, that is always a contentious issue. Is a long and trying issue. Obviously, we'll have those conversations again with the town. I know, you know, in conversations with the supervisor, they are working through potentially beginning that process, and we appreciate that. It's kind of been punted down for a number of years. And again, respected that it is a complicated and tough issue, so appreciate their consideration moving forward. That does bring into the quagmire of the budget, you know, after a number of years of post-COVID boom, assessments, total assessed values of property in the village of Ellenville rose from between 1.5 to $2 million per year. This year, as probably no surprise, as real estate has begun to stall out in transactions and general price increases, it only rose $700,000, which creates some pressure on the CTL, which also affects our growth factor component of the tax levy cap.
Well, what's odd is we have an AMI or an average or median assessed value of a single family home of about $147,000.
And it's, a lot of that was time. You know, it happened in 2015, quite literally at the bottom of the market for reversing in Ellenville. There are a number of property types, I think, throughout the village, investor style properties, if you will, that are grossly underassessed. As you know, revals are not a perfect science. I don't want to say what might happen one way or the other, but I think it should be considered, because that continues to make pressure on us.
Well, I think it puts pressure on our single family homeowners.
Absolutely. Yep.
Where, you know, you have folks that live in the community that are struggling, and you have investor type folks that are benefiting from the folks that are living here having properties that are probably truly assessed, but those investor quality properties are maybe not assessed properly.
Absolutely.
But when they do the reval, make sure you get somebody that actually does a reval, because out of Rochester, I have a friend that lives out there.
Oh,
They
that's
did it with a drone.
Yeah, no, that's a
Have you
different.
sit in your car and do it with a drone and tell the guy that he has a deck and a porch put on it and it's not there. He went and he had a fight. He's fighting right now. His house went up over $200,000 because the guy that did the reval must have been Ray Charles, because he sure in the heck didn't know what he was looking at. Because it's a shame, you know, when you have a house that sits on 0.2 acres and you're going up $100,000. At the end of the day, who's looking at this? Really, let's make sense. You're talking about 6.5% increase on our taxes, but then you're gonna do a reval and you're gonna hit people with a reval of say $100,000, maybe more.
Or our home went up $100,000 within 6 months of purchasing it, and none of the rentals around us have been reassessed or gone up in years.
But that's
I'm not making income off of my property. Everybody on my block was making income off of my property. I mean, off the block, and they're paying, their houses are evaluated at maybe 34, 54, 64,000, and they're renting them for $2,000, and they're not even nice apartments.
Yeah. So that's the conversation. That's what I'm trying to articulate, is that some of those properties are the ones that need the look, and we need to kind of push that process forward.
Area, I saw your hand raised. Okay. And you know, let me be clear. I mean, no way is this on the town. This is a reval will fix the potential inequitability of some of our assessments. But functionally, right, you know, when we talk about our budget and we talk about a year-over-year increase in revenue, it would take $3 million of additional assessed value over what we just had this past year in previous years in a dollar amount, that assessed amount, right? And that is a potentially properties worth $6 million on the retail market, right? What we see when it's posted online, the assessed value is approximately half of that, little bit more. That will only represent about $77,000 of new tax revenue. So one of the things we hear a lot is we need to grow the tax base, and that's one of the challenges and one of the realities we need to come to, is that the kind of growth in the tax base that we would need to see would be almost unheard of in Ellenville's history in the last 30 or 40 years. And that is something that we have to weigh, is that we could do everything we want. We could add a project every single year. Dollar amount that represents could be consumed almost immediately in so many aspects that we need to build back in due to using single source funding over so many years to try to get by. And that's objectively, I think, what a lot of municipalities are dealing with right now, is that they used fund balance, a significant amount of it for many years, which I'm not begrudging them for doing it, to help hopefully look for a better time, but unfortunately that better time hasn't come. And I think that's something the village has been dealing with a much longer period of time. And we have to start to really dig into that. So sorry I rambled on. I appreciate everybody's time. Get out, it's spring in Ellenville. There's a lot of great events coming up. Thank you very much. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
So, I just wanna, say a couple of things. The bottom line is that unfortunately, we are looking to go over that 2% task, right? And, we are asking, but we are not giving, because we are literally at the skeleton services that we are able to provide. So by saying that, which I know that's what everybody's pretty much feeling, right? We are gonna, at this point, I know the manager said we don't want to go with, we're not gonna make decisions based on our feelings. The community feeling is that, how much more can we take? How much more can we give? And the answer is nothing, because there's nothing extra that we can give you. So it's very important that you guys do come to these budget meetings. Very important, because that's the only way we are going to be able to have this uncomfortable conversations of what our reality is. Simple as that. And I am a taxpayer and I am a village resident, so this does affect home. So I can completely understand how our villages are feeling. And I just ask you to please show up, please come, because after decisions are made, we just have to roll the consequences. There's nothing that we can do. We just have to roll with it until hopefully next year and get better at it. Because how we're looking is going to be year after year to how figure something out. But please come. Regarding events, Town of Wharton is having the annual Easter egg hunt this Saturday at Lehman Park. It's going to be an event from 11 to 1 p.m. The hunt is going to happen at 1 p.m. Please come and show your support. We have a lot of local organizations, county organizations coming to providing information of local services and out of town services that they provide that we could benefit from. Also, April 18 at 8 o'clock, the Borscht
Yep.
Thank you. Museum is having a comedy club event. Laura Boulevard is going to be a whole Spanish show. Please come and show your support.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. With that, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
You just.
The other guy. Oh, you were sad.
Hey, Michelle.
He said he there and private contact with the we only get.
How you feeling? Better?
Are you working? No, we're not.
We're on hand to. Made a motion to close the public hearing.
They don't know. They don't know.
I was here for 3 hours today.
How you work?
That's how it's going tomorrow. I was on Zoom the other day. I was Zoom tomorrow. Oh, prep. Zoom, prep, try.
We're not even driving. You get driving. So then I come.
Yeah. I know, yeah.